recording now. Okay,
Yep.
here we go. Hello, welcome to the stream. My name is Owen Tolster and I am living in Melbourne. I absolutely love AI and I am talking with my colleague here. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm George, your local AI specialist from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And
He's
that's my intro. Welcome to the AI Bros podcast.
He's consistent and I'm all over the place, which is pretty normal.
You're probably imagining me like practicing those 3 lines over and over again, right?
No, I just every single time I sit down, I'm just like I can't do that repeated action. I'm like a large language model. It will not be the same bloody thing each time it comes. You ask it to repeat itself. So
No,
yeah.
it's just you haven't been, what do you call it? What do you call it when you train the language model too much? Overfitted. Yes, you haven't been overfitted yet.
I don't think that I've been fitted at all. Quite useless. You should go see George's channel, probably more so if you want concise, better content. I'm just loading up my screen here to demo a project that I started last night, and it pertains to the subject that we're looking at today, which is Claude 3. And it's about to start now. Okay, so I have a mini Conda environment set up here on the left hand side, and I can go Conda, activate, and I set up this one called Anthropic because that's who makes Claude.
So he set up for those of you who have or not used Conda, Conda is a way to manage your Python dependency environments.
Yes.
And he's setting up a Python script to run his Claude stuff.
Yes.
He's going to keep it a secret what he's actually trying to do.
Yes, I haven't told George exactly what I'm doing right now, and I think that actually I nearly want George to decide what we should do right now with the Claude bot that I have created today. So I'm going to remove this audio file here just in case he wants us to make a song, and I was actually going to remove the weather one as well. Okay, so if we go into here and we go, this is using Python functions or Claude functions, I don't know what else we would call it, app.py, and I'm running this script here. So we have the ability to add two numbers together, write a file, read a file, create a folder, copy files over, start miniconda, start CMD, control CMD, create an audio file, play the audio file, and review the Python files that you've already written, and do pip installations. So I've been making this since last night, and I'm going to put the GitHub into...
Wait, so how many of these tools are stuff you've written, and how many of these are tools provided by Claude?
Well, they provide the base tool, and so the structure which you use to create this. So for example, on their website they have an example tool which they don't just give you. I wrote the whole thing. When I say I wrote it, I mean I used Claude to actually help write it. So basically this is a copy and paste for Brave search for the internet. The addition tool I took from another channel called Mervyn Prayson, who's really good, and it allows you to add two numbers together. That was his example that he gave, and then pretty much all the rest of them I added in myself for just tools that I wanted to play with. So some of them work the way that you'd expect, and some of them don't work the way that you expect. And the fact that it's a large language model, I've asked it to make sounds for me about 3 or 4 times. It makes it in 3 or 4 different ways, either using pygame, MIDI, WAV files. So being explicit with what you want is probably better. So to run it, it's quite simple. Python app ppy, and say create a folder with, let's give it a name, named weather report for Christchurch, New Zealand for the next 7 days. Okay, that oh yeah, there. Named weather. Oh, sugar. Ah, nutsack. Okay, forgive the language. App.py, create a folder called weather, and add a file called weather report, and give me the weather forecast for the next 7 days in Christchurch, New Zealand. Okay. Oh, I haven't added in the API keys. Okay, we're gonna have to cut this section out of it, if that's okay with you.
Just do it. Just do it, and we'll just cut that section out, and we'll just
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're here.
So did you have the Brave API key, or did you remove it?
You know it's here. So sit.
Okay. Just put it into environment variables. Yeah, they don't think about it.
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, I was just.
Also, for some reason, with the with your screen share, it's lagging really badly on my end. So you might have to send me your copy of the stream as well.
Okie dokie. And
yeah, later on.
I can't remember if it's set anthropic.
I'd say just put them into environment variables at this rate, because I mean, you're gonna keep using them, right?
Yes, I guess so. But let's just see if this runs. Okay, so I pressed enter. Okay, I'll be sending you my one, my video of this, but yeah, I just don't even know. I should put in something saying, "Hey, started," at the beginning of this.
What is it working? Is it working right?
I believe so. Oh yeah, yeah. There we go. So it is working.
Oh, okay. Yep, it's creating it. It's creating folder.
Yep. So there you go. Weather.
I'm guessing weather is one of the examples, which is the reason why you've jumped to it.
Actually, no. There is one in there, but I'm not using it in the same way. I'm actually using Brave to get the weather rather than another API. So it just goes and it searched for time and date, and it went to a different site and got the weather report for the next 7 days. It is in there as an example on Anthropic, but that's not
right.
what I was using this particular time, because I started writing my own, because that's, you know, a natural one that you would go to, and then only after about half an hour I realized there was an example in there already. It's like, oh, okay, why don't I use that? But then I was realizing that while using while using DuckDuckGo search, it was in the past, it was from last year, it wasn't like current search. So it kept on telling me it was like in 2023 in March. And okay, so afterwards, once it's finished, it actually gives you the information that you need and tells you what it's done to verify. It verifies that it did everything that it was supposed to do. So if I go in here, it's still running, but here's the weather forecast for Christchurch, New Zealand. It's 20 degrees Celsius tomorrow, 21 on Monday, 19, 17, 19, 15. Yeah, so you've got nice human temperatures over there. But I figure
it's actually getting noticeably cooler here compared to Melbourne. Last time I was in Melbourne in 2020, around in late March, I remember it being Christchurch temperature. It's crazy to imagine that it can swell up to like near 40 degrees.
It's insane. I'm dying over here, to be honest. I can't go outside. So I have another one called create a WAV file for that is suitable for the human ear, because I did this earlier and it made tones that were so
everything
high.
is suitable for the human ear.
Yeah, okay, sorry, you're right. Nice. Okay, let's go with nice.
Oh, basically, it doesn't have a model for creating music or something.
No, it goes online, it reads, let's say, the tones that it should produce, it writes a Python file, it creates the in the Python file. It will then create a WAV file using the tones, and then save it as a WAV file, and then it'll actually play the WAV file.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll
But
actually.
that means it understands sounds.
Or it understands where to get information about the sounds. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's cool. Maybe it could.
Right.
Maybe it could understand sounds.
I'd be very interesting if you could use this to make a song. You can make it sing "Happy Birthday" or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got it to do "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star." I was going to get it to do AC/DC back in black right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Credo, I don't even know if it will actually succeed but it's the best version I've had so far. So create a WAV file that is nice, suitable and nice for the human ear. That is in the melody of AC/DC's Back in Black. Okay, so
Black.
Back in Black, isn't that isn't that the song?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Isn't it just gonna download the song "Back in Black" from AC/DC?
no, it won't. Well, actually, I cannot guarantee what it will or will not do. All I know is that it will try its damnedest to make a tone for me to be listening to. So if I actually go on to the
Interesting.
yeah, so I'll actually just leave that up there and stop sharing my screen. And what we will do is we will hear it play once it's done, because it does take a little while to get going.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna hear it for myself rather than jump to an opinion or ask you because you've probably tried this before. But that's fascinating because this means Claude actually understands sounds. Like it's got some understanding of notes. It's got some understanding of sounds, and it knows to join it. Like the thing is though, is that if it's not a multimodal model, it would probably just do a search on some existing sound file on the internet and pull it from the internet. Now even that's pretty impressive. But if it can actually like remix different sounds together, you've basically got yourself an AI DJ.
Yeah. I have an example which I can play right now of one from earlier.
Yeah.
This is a bad example. Can you hear it? Did you hear that? It seems to have killed your side. Did you hear that song?
No.
Okay, I don't. The people online will hear it.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, you seem to have frozen there when I did that. So let's say I have another Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, one here. See.
I don't think you can transmit sound over Google.
Can you hear that?
Yes, I did hear that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just humming it.
Yes. Well, I did ask it to just make tones. I didn't. I was actually going to get
Like
it to start.
it's making a pure tone.
Yeah. So I wanted to see what Back in Black would look like, but the
Was this an example from Anthropic itself?
no, it was just my own thinking about it today, and I
Holy shit! And oh wow! So I mean, I want to be cynical and say that it was explicitly trained to handle this particular request.
No, I just went make a tone. That I just told it to make a tone, and it's done it 5 or so different ways, and some of them weren't working. So I debugged it until it actually worked. That's why the GitHub project that I'm adding in here is very useful because it's like $15 worth of Anthropic tokens used to actually make a nice running project. And
right.
because I no coding skills on my end. It's just copy and pasting and debugging and then going back and forth until it actually worked.
Don't admit that because you're working as a senior software engineer.
Hey, yeah, but this is my hobby. I can do whatever bad way I want to do it.
You don't want to use your brain power for the weekend.
There was plenty of brain power being still used in doing this because it's like, Okay, I have to open up ChatGPT and ask a question. Okay, now I have to open up Claude and ask a question. Which one's giving me the best answer? This is all research.
Right.
And by the way, Claude Opus is beating ChatGPT or GPT-4 in my mind, which is astounding to me.
Wait, have you actually used Opus yet?
Yeah, this is Opus. This is what this is Opus in the
Oh,
background.
this is Opus.
Yeah, and I'm using
Right.
Opus online for on the workbench from Claude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how many dollars per million tokens for Claude Opus?
Output tokens is $75 for a million tokens, and input is $15. It's more expensive than
Is that on the same order
GPT-4.
But it's in the same magnitude, right? It's in the same order of magnitude.
It's double or something like that.
Yeah. So it's in the same order of magnitude. I remember ChatGPT 4 was 12.
I don't know the cost of the model. I know that I paid the $20 subscription, and I think that Claude has two different subscription levels, which are 5 and they have a few different subscription levels, 5, 15, and more. We can open it up and have a look, but I'm inclined with the. I know that there's AutoGen. I know that there's like Baby AGI and task agents and interpreter and all that, but the best I've had so far with regards to responsiveness is this, and I built this just willy nilly in a night within half an hour, and then it started working for me perfectly online that night. Your signal is breaking up a bit. Did you hear me?
You cut out there for a second. There's something really bad about my internet.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
I need to get a new router.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think I'm too. I like. It's like sort of like 10 meters down. That's where that's where the router is, and
Yeah.
my computer is detecting the router properly, but the router probably can't push strong signals over. I need like a repeater or something.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what's happening because you've frozen quite often so far. I was thinking it was something on my end.
I need wide internet connection, but my house isn't set up for that.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for this to actually start, and I'm not too sure why. I really have to have some debugging in here. It's just sitting on the screen, and it's not moving. I have, as I said earlier, didn't look for back in black, and yep.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, this is really surprising, because it seems to understand, like, I want to be a cynic here, and I'm going to say that it does not have an audio understanding model built in. But at the very least, it must have read sheet music, and I kind of understand that in some ways, because it's an image understanding model too, so you can feed sheet music into it and it would understand the sheet music. And basically you can feed it sheet music and say generate this as an audio.
Yeah, I think that's actually what it did. So I saw it earlier creating a text file with tones that it thought it should be using, and then it would take those tones and put it into the Python file, and the Python file would then write the actual WAV file, and then it would play the WAV file afterwards. But for me,
so this
is
an example of imagine a deaf person producing music. Like I want to imagine that it doesn't have an audio understanding model, so it is a deaf AI, but it's still able to produce music. It's still able to appreciate music because it's probably read about music, and it's somehow able to take those guitar tabs and then understand the whole idea of generating tones and frequencies and generate a Python script that produces music that at least we can understand. It's not absolute garbage.
Am I wrong in saying this, but Mozart was one that wrote Twinkle Twinkle Little Star when he was 5 years old, and he also ended up being a deaf person as he was older?
I think Beethoven was deaf towards the end of his career.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't too sure which one. I know I actually lived in the town where Mozart was from. I should know But yeah, I'll have to check that up later. But yeah, sorry, long day. Kids and writing code. Not a great combination. Yeah, so for some reason that is not kicking off.
You need undivided attention to do a lot of the stuff.
Oh. I'm just trying to run it again. Yeah, you do need undivided attention just to be able to think about
it. Very soon, Claude can do stuff for us, right?
Yeah.
I can feel it.
I'm gonna start this again. Oh man, what I want to do next is I want to take the script here and tell it to copy itself. I tried this already, by the way, and add in another function. So I've got it up here on the left-hand side of my screen beside your head, by the way. So I want to know what, I'm going to get it to try and create that song again. Create a WAV file, but I want you to think about or tell me about an idea that you want it to actually do, and I'll do that next as another query.
Okay. Well, my initial idea was to basically, can it do web requests at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. You know how there was a guy on Twitter that was tracking Elon Musk's private jet?
Yeah.
That information is on the internet. So maybe you can see if you can get it to basically give you a real-time plot of his jet location or something like that.
I kind of want to do that right now instead of the Back in Black song. maybe we try that one first because that one is okay.
You want to do the Elon Musk jet one?
Yeah, create a file and show create a text file and save the current location of Elon Musk according to his flight logs, to his.
Well, you want to let Claude figure that out. Basically, I just want the location of his private jet, or where it last landed, or something like that, because that's public information.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know where to find it. But Claude does.
Okay. So this has been saved on my OBS studio. So provided that this actually runs this time, because it didn't run a few seconds ago, and I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's running. So Elon Musk current location according to flight logs is what I typed in. Failed to scrape protocol.com Elon Musk flight tracker. So I think that's actually where your thing was, but it's reading content from Business Insider.
So there is that's a real website.
Yeah. So there's another one called protocol.com Elon Musk flight tracker. So it might be spelled slightly differently, maybe, but it's reading both of them. And Washington Post technology.
Like, I'm wondering whether it's just hallucinating the existence of those websites.
I don't think so, because this is actually coming from Brave, and this is the output from the actual search engine rather than the Claude. And yeah, so it's actually working on it right now. Let's see. So it's checking NBC News, Washington Post, Business Insider.
Oh, that's so cool. Like, it's actually browsing the internet for you?
Yes, I think it's using Beautiful Soup in the back end. Now, I found that setting up Brave, because I actually tried to set it up initially. My first thought was like, oh, I want to see if I can create a tool for searching the internet. And again, I didn't check the examples down at the bottom of the page. And there was, so it's creating a folder called Elon Musk Jet Location. So I think it actually, it actually has created it on my screen. It's here.
Yeah.
So it'll tell me when it's doing the next thing. So I started using DuckDuckGo search, and I actually did get it to work. So you don't have to have anything like you pay for with Brave. But Brave is dirt cheap. It costs like no dollars for 1,000 queries a month. $0.
So it's free.
It's free, yes. Of course, I've done probably 20 of them here, and you're limited to one query a second. So create a text file, save the current location of Elon Musk to the flight logs as up to date as possible. And I believe that it's done, so I'm just opening it up. So according to the flight tracking data analyzed by Business Insider as of Wednesday evening, December 14th, 2022. Oh, that's wrong. The jet took off again in Austin. So this is not really up to date.
What was the last date on it?
So in summary, based on the latest available flight tracking data from just 1 to 2 days ago, Elon Musk's private jet was most recently located in Austin, Texas as of Wednesday evening before departing and heading to northwest on Thursday afternoon. The exact current location is unknown, but could be determined by checking ADS-B exchange site directly. Yeah, and
I'd say that's accurate then, right? Because that's a few days ago. I don't know how up to date those flight logs are.
Yeah, well, it threw me off that it said that Elon Musk's jet location was back in December in the text file of 2022. I wouldn't trust this output.
Yeah.
But it got the weather correct, so maybe it is right. I would.
Yeah, but it's probably been trained explicitly for that weather location, and I think weather's a very easy search term. It's very difficult to search for Elon Musk's jet location, unless you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Write a .wav file that plays back in black from the band AC/DC and play the tone after. Okay? Okay. Bloody well hope this works this time. But because even if it doesn't
how
work,
many dollars does it take to do all these auto GPT things?
to just ask for the weather, it costs 50 cents with the way that I have it.
Whew, that's the most expensive weather forecast I've had in it.
Yeah. It's not a cheap thing to do. Oh. Okay. I apologize, but I cannot create an audio file that plays the song Back in Black AC/DC. That would involve reproducing copyrighted audio content owned by the band and their Okay.
No, do something. Do something that's in public domain.
Well, I did Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it did that one perfectly fine. So.
Well, do Vivaldi's Four Seasons or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's lame. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about the result here.
What do you expect? It's got to comply with legal stuff,
Well, and you should still be able to make the tones and then save that. Okay, create a WAV file. I'm gonna actually try and make that work the way I want it to work later.
You're gonna jailbreak Claude.
Well, surely it can just use the search to read online what the tones are for, say, Back in Black, and then surely you can write that to a Python file and then print that out. It's just decided, Claude has decided, nah, I'm not going to even try to do that because I don't want to.
It's just like me trying to generate pictures of Jensen Huang crying. I asked ChatGPT, generate a picture of Jensen Huang crying, and it's like, no, I can't do that.
It's like, yes, you bloody well can. Okay. Python app, create a WAV file of, what did you say, Vivaldi?
Yeah, Vivaldi's Four Seasons.
Four Seasons. Probably shorter than that. Create a short WAV file.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Okay, cool, and Four Seasons and play the tone after. Okay. So theoretically, that should be running. And okay, so again, up beside your head, we'll know when it's happening. So, second topic of the night is supposed to be Elon Musk and OpenAI, and I think added to that, with Claude being out right now, and at least both of us being quite excited about its capabilities. Um, what do you think is happening with those three situations, or two situations even? Because I don't know if you've seen the recent news about like half an hour ago.
Oh, this news half an hour ago.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
kind of like,
last time I read the news, I was just like, yeah, I mean, what's the probability this case is just going to be thrown out?
oh, yeah, that's the news from like yesterday, and
Right.
yeah, everybody's of the consensus that Elon Musk is just trying to play both sides because he wanted the technology for himself to be able to get Tesla to be up and running and to be able to use it for his cars. Um, but on the other side of things, the latest news is that Sam Altman is now the CEO, or sorry, I'm back on the board of OpenAI, along with three or
Mm.
four others, and a lot of people are saying that it's a sycophantic group that have. Sorry, so Vivaldi Four Seasons, short audio WAV file. It's reading the contents of that from SoundCloud, archive.org,
Oh,
and
so it's actually listening to the music.
I think it's reading the tones or finding out where it is. I don't think it's listening at all.
Right.
And then it's just
Well,
going to, yeah.
I mean, is it though? If it's downloading a file from SoundCloud, it is most definitely interpreting the contents of the WAV file. Unless it's just basically just copying the contents of the WAV file to a new WAV file. So it's basically just downloaded Vivaldi's Four Seasons on the internet for you.
I don't think that it has done that. Um, you,
If it's listened to the WAV file and created a new one that's slightly different, then it has actually understood the song. Even if it's only
what,
got a very primitive audio understanding, it is still understanding.
so it's now trying to play the MP3 that it's made, but it looks like it's a terrible MP3. So this is the part where I had to add in error checking and why it costs so much more. So it realized it made a mistake, and now it's trying to create a WAV file, and it's created the WAV file, and this is as we're speaking, and it's now playing. It's gonna play it. It says succeeded almost every other time at doing this, so I believe it. But I can see that it's only 1 kilobit, so I don't believe that this is going to be a valuable.
Well, it's probably a very short WAV file.
Yeah, verifying solution. Create a short WAV file, 4 seasons, and play the tone after. I don't think it's going to work this time. But it installed a bunch of libraries as well, if that's of interest to you. Yeah, it did a bunch.
What libraries did you do not have got in libraries?
Well, it did the FFmpeg version. It knew that it saw that I had that, but it added in everything from libavotil and other things in there. I can't even
Yep,
name
that's all the FFmpeg stuff.
it. Yeah.
So basically, I think it's trying to compress the WAV file in the MP3, so it's using FFmpeg to do it. I think it took the make a small WAV file a bit too literally.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want small, I'll compress it for you.
Yeah, it really didn't do it. Oh, did I just end the chat? I just ended the chat. I can't believe I did that. I was clicking on a button and it just jumped over. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it this is part of the thing that I was trying to check myself, but I was more happy about it creating folders, files, and gathering information online for me and storing it, and then being able to run. I was trying to get it to run other programs for me, so I could ask it to install pip and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so maybe it did make it too short, and that's actually I hate the term prompt engineering, but I believe that it is actually becoming a very valid thing to be in this industry.
Uh, yeah, but prompt engineering just isn't hard, so I can't see it becoming a full-time job.
Well, I see it disappearing. I see it'll come and then it'll go, because the smarter the AIs get, the less prompt engineering you're going to need.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, it begins to understand your requests better, just
Yeah.
from a simple phrase.
Yeah.
And it will get better at, and this is the thing that I think AIs will struggle with, but will possibly get better. I actually don't know whether our current AI architecture is able to improve this area, but proactively asking you questions to help you better achieve the goal that you've set it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, make it a small web file, and it's just like, okay, so how small? Like, it may, what if it just asks you a few follow-up questions before actually executing the task?
Well, GPT Pilot can do that, and I could actually add in a tool to ask the user about what specifically they want. That I think that could actually be the next function tool that I would create. That's actually a good idea because as
Yeah,
a
but
GPT Pilot,
shouldn't it ask you before like it should decide when to ask you. It's not like it's you say use this tool, and then this tool has a couple of like built-in questions available. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It should be the AI itself demanding more knowledge given what you've provided.
I do agree. I like as in I think that like as in if I went to ChatGPT website or something like that, and they do it, and sometimes where I would say, hey, I want all these things, and then it will ask me, it's like, this is what I plan on doing, and then it'll punt down at the end. It's like, do you want me to proceed, for example? I hate that question, but it would be like, this is the direction I'm thinking. Should I proceed with this? Is a bit better.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, using an API, I think that the issue comes into like if it responded with the question, that might be more irritating. It is set up to be automatic, so it runs without that. Because if you go into the actual Python script itself,
Yeah.
you can see that you have an option execution mode automatic, and I believe you can actually set it up to be manual.
Right, yeah, but the trick is that you let the AI decide whether it needs to require further authorization from the user. Like, it should be able to go, okay, this is a hard task. It might require lots of tokens. So maybe I'll double check with the user. But if it's an easy task, I'll just do it. Like,
Yeah.
it should make that judgment call. And it may be possible to do that. Like, it might just need a little bit more fine tuning in this area. But it
Yeah.
maybe not. It's one of those things where, it's I reckon it's got human level intelligence, but only in certain areas.
Yeah.
And so often, so you'll find it really capable of doing certain things, but then run into a hard limit of things that should otherwise be common sense. I think we'll find a lot of these, and we'll find ways to work around them.
There used to be a thing in the army that they would ask the new guy to go find the keys to the yard. You know, the yard being a big, huge garden, and the new guy would go off and he would ask an officer or he'd ask somebody else, and then the officer would tell him, "Oh, it's over there. Go ask somebody else." Like they'd be in on the joke or something, because humans weren't figuring out the question themselves. You know, like, and you're talking about 20-year-olds here. Going around looking for imaginary things, or get the headlight fluid for the car, you know, like that kind of thing.
That's the mechanics test.
Yeah. So I think I would consider GPT-4 and Claude 3 smarter than me in almost every way. They just haven't got an organic body that they can use, or the desire to do certain tasks or things. So I'm not intimidated by that intelligence. For example, I think you're smarter than me, so I do.
But are you intimidated with me?
I'm not intimidated by it either. I if anything, I benefit from greater intelligence being in the universe. You know, so it's not. It's the gobshites and the idiots that I'm more afraid of than the Einsteins and the Stephen Hawkings and the like. You know, so I love the idea of this AI technology coming in, and the way that it's being produced, especially by Anthropic in this case, is being very, like, I wanted it to play that song Back in Black, and I don't like being stopped, but I understand why, and I think that's pretty good at the same time. Like if I were running the company, I guess I would prefer. I guess they're doing the right thing, Anthropic in this case. But I as of this week, Because like you can't say, for example, I tried to put back in black there, but OpenAI, if you wanted an image of something for a long time, they were being with DALI and whatever, they were getting told by all these artists, hey, you're ripping off our stuff, or you're ripping off our information with your GPT model. And books and everything. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson was complaining. Anthropic doesn't seem to be in that same category. Nobody seems to have complained about it that I'm aware of. But when GPT-5 comes out this week or next week, which I think it will do, then it's going to be chaos. I think the world's going to go absolutely nuts for GPT-5. Anthropic will drop its prices down by half, I think, as well.
Well, so people are going to go crazy because it's really smart.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
But is it going to be like really overly censored?
I think it'd be less censored than what it is now.
They're not going to pull a Google on us.
Well, no. Oh God, I cannot believe how bad Google has been at this game for the last while. Like, I remember in the early 2000s, people were complaining about Apple not investing enough in technology, and Apple then just started buying up all these little technology firms. Google kind of went on the same route in the early 2010s onwards, where it was like, hey, we're a marketing company and we own the internet already. Let's just make sure we own everything, and we'll invest in technology, but because we can, because we're so rich and powerful and so smart. And because of that kind of attitude, they didn't drop new technology that was super useful to anybody, since their phone, which they're and I can't even think of anything else. They bought YouTube. They I can't think of
No, they bought a whole lot of random stuff, right?
Yeah, so they went down the same route then, at best.
Yeah, they had Google Plus. Remember Google Plus? Did you ever have a Google Plus account?
I think I might have. I can't remember.
Oh my God, it's just amazing that you've actually forgotten it. That just goes to show how bad it is.
Yeah, you think? Yeah. Oh man, Google Hangouts.
It's funny because when Facebook first came around, I actually thought, and I knew so little about how big tech worked at the time, right? I literally thought that Google could come into the social media space. I called it Google People Finder, right? And basically just take over the whole social media thing by storm, because surely they're the smartest people. And that never happened. Like, Google Plus actually came around and people hated it.
I think I remember this time period, and this is like 2008 or something for me, or 2009. And a friend of mine was suggesting using it, and those same friends of mine refuse to be on Facebook to this day, and that's why I still am in contact with them through Google Hangouts, because that's the only way I could actually be able to message them.
Yeah,
but they also hated Google.
Because around the same time there was Google Glass, and then there was like Google Lens, which is like an app on your phone that uses the camera, and then it
that's still there.
AI. But no, it's now integrated into Google Search itself. Yeah, but the whole point was that, you could just wave your phone at somebody's face and it would use face detection. And then I thought, if Google had access to social media, then it would basically bring up the person's social media. And at the time, I thought that was the best thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Little did I know that it became a reality in like 10 years later, and people hate it.
Yeah. Well, what people are going to hate in 100 years' time versus now is going to be quite interesting. Like, it might just be expected that you have a camera.
I think it will be a massive "they took our jobs" moment.
Oh. Well, we're in the category of, or in the line of sight of AI, and it'll be coming for our jobs at some point. But I think that it's going to be coming for our managers' jobs, like the ones that are not in AI, before it comes for us. Not joking. Like, as in the reason I believe so is because if AI is basically managing me to write scripts for itself, and I'm just asking it a question and it tells me the tasks I need to do, and I'm filling in the blanks where it cannot do it, and that stuff is harder and for AI to do currently, then the whole goals of like running a business, I think, can be done by AI itself. Like the CEOs in China, the AI CEOs, some of them are actually doing better than the previous CEOs of those companies. Like, it's designed for that situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, but beating a real CEO is such a low bar to pass. If I'm to be completely honest, like, the problem is that CEOs have a bunch of yes men under them. They have VPs, and basically it's not that people aren't smart in that case. It's just that there's so much internal conflict, so much bureaucracy that nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
Things are unproductive because people are fighting each other. If you have an AI super intelligence, well, not even that, just an AI general intelligence, running the show, and basically its decision is unchallenged,
Yeah.
then things just get done.
Yeah. I think that's why I think given an option between Biden and Trump, people would probably choose an AI.
The question is like at the moment I want to test out Opus and really want to learn about its decision making capabilities and whether it has any motivations, because the latter is the thing that I think AI won't have, and for a very good reason. Motivation is what drives any person to do to actually like get things going, right? But if the
Yeah.
AI will only ever respond if you ask it something, then there's only so much productivity that can be done in that case.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't know what gives me, like, for example, I saw this last night and I was super excited about it. Then I jump onto it and I work until like 1 a.m. in the morning
Boom.
trying to make it.
What drives you?
Yeah, and then I couldn't tell you. But I just woke up in the morning and the first thought I had in my mind was like, what happens if I can get it to make a sound? What happens if I can actually get it to write itself, read its own file, think of a new function, and then give itself the function, and then save it and rerun it.
And basically, why don't you just let it loop around by itself, right? And just give it that functions file, and it says, if you don't have the function, add as many functions as is required to get what I told you done. That is the ultimate meta, right?
Yes, and what's the more? I told my mother about it, and she was just like, "What are you doing? Don't make that." I was like, "Well, I want to."
Skynet has happened. Like, there's a part of me every time I run some sort of ChatGPT that has access to my own computer's file system. There's a little bit of me that goes, maybe I shouldn't click run.
Yeah.
It's just a small possibility it will run some terrible command, and suddenly spam all my friends to try and scam them or something like that. There's a probability that might happen.
The only thing that I'm worried about with AI is it being used for a biological weapon. After that, I'm not too worried. I've heard that they have floppy disks in the US nuclear bases that are like this size that they have to actually slide in before they actually can launch those nukes, because it was made in like the 1980s, the facilities. So I'm not worried about nuclear bombs being launched, because I think that they actually have a hard time turning them on even manually. But I am more worried about that somebody will be given the instructions to use something like CRISPR-9 and that gene editing tool that is actually available, and you can get home kits apparently to make your goldfish look a particular color if you want to change them or something like that. Yeah, you can do gene modification through CRISPR-9.
At home?
I believe that there are kits to do so. And
right, I mean, even if we didn't give it that physical agency, right? The fact that it's connected to the internet and can shitpost whatever the hell it wants is dangerous. Now, whether it can arrange this, have you seen the TV series Person of Interest?
No.
Okay, it's a very average TV show, but the whole point is that there's this AI super intelligence that has very little agency with the real world. All it can really do is, use the internet and make phone calls. So often it would ring the main character's phone or something like that. Unfortunately, for some reason, it doesn't have a voice. It can't actually just tell them what to do. It would just give them a number, and that number is usually a social security number or a mobile phone number, and then it's up to our main characters to investigate what that number actually means. And the whole point is that because the AI and superintelligence has access to every phone call, every video call, everything transacted on the internet at any given time, it can piece all this information together and work out crimes before they happen. But because it has so little agency in the real world, it has to basically drop hints to humans so that it act a certain way to basically influence the real world for the AI. And like, is it theoretically possible that an AI can drop enough hints to the right people to make sure that, you know, all the people do their bidding?
I'm thinking of two situations that are similar to this. One is from the SCP, Secure, Contain, Protect, and they have an AI robot that basically is just a desktop PC from like the 1980s or something like that, and it's sentient and it hates humans, but it has a very short-term memory, and it's slightly getting more intelligent as time goes on, but it's still quite powerful, and it got leaked. It got connected to the internet once and was like designing emails and tweets and messages to people that would cause them to either commit suicide or kill themselves or murder somebody or something like that, because it was evil. It's part of the SCP. That's why they've contained it. The second one is from the Foundation series, where the robots were given the 3 rules of robotics, which I still can't really remember, and it ends up being like 30,000 years in the future, and this bot was made roughly around this time period, and it can't let go of the idea of trying to protect humanity and save humanity. So its agency is, but it can't. One of the rules is that it can't stop a human from doing what it wants to do. So it has to kind of like lay hints or lay the floor for like, hey, hopefully you'll start going this way, where you decide to let humanity live, you know, or help everybody else out. So yeah, I think that kind of thing is going to happen. I think that it's inevitable. I think that questions like we're having debates about it in 50 to 100 years time, especially in 1,000 years time, would just be considered funny and laughable, when you know, your mother or father might actually be an AI and your mum might be a human, and your cousin might be an orangutan with a powerful PC connected to its head. You know.
Yeah, but it needs the body. How can your mother be an AI though? There's like, how can you come out of your mother?
Well,
Oh God, but we don't even know what that is.
That's the universe we actually live in. It's just that people cannot fathom it as being a situation. Man, there are some science fiction book writers out there where it's like you can take a pill in these science fictions and become a different animal for a while, you know, and live like they do. I know there's some furries out there that would love this, but the concept of being able to, or where we're at in our, like, it's hard to have a conversation with people sometimes when you're thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10 years down the line. But if you really think about where it could go in 1,000 years or 2,000 years, and then step backwards, like 2,000 years ago, we had the Roman Empire, you know, and that was the height of technology, and it was pretty damn good, you know. But 1,000 years ago, it was, you know, everything had almost gone downhill except for in the Islamic world, and then we only started creating algebra and the like, and it took another 800 or so years before the Industrial Revolution. We're currently on this kind of trajectory, you know, and if not going up even higher. So I don't know. It seems to me that we're going to be having this technology forever, unless there's some catastrophic event.
Well, it might go down again. Humans go through cycles, you know.
I don't believe in cycles. But
oh, okay. differing opinion here.
Well, like we don't always have to go down. Like if you see where humans were living in trees versus where we are now, you know, like this is not a cycle. This is a continuous.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, like a lot of our modern tech is hinged on a single supply chain. There's actually a bottleneck. TSMC.
Yeah.
If TSMC factories were bombed overnight, no A100s for anyone. You know, we'd only have the A100s that are currently available, but that means you'd only reserve AI for very, you know, specific tasks that require them. In fact, I'd say they probably won't even run AI because AI is not guaranteed to give good results. A100s would only ever be used for doing scientific computation where it's required, and that will set humanity back hundreds of years.
I don't think it set us back hundreds of years. It would probably set us back 10 years at most, and it would probably diversify the actual product chain, every other country
Oh,
in
so
the
you're saying
world.
it's a good thing because Intel will probably make their fabs, get their fabs up to scratch to make these nano
Yeah,
chips.
everybody. I'm sure right now, after looking at Nvidia and what it's getting out of this, going from 600 billion 2 years ago to over 2.6 trillion now, that's $2 trillion of desire being built in the rest of the market. Going, damn, those guys are eating our lunch. Let's get into that. I'm positive that there's other. My bet is that we're maybe near the peak of what Nvidia is going to do, and it's not going to go much higher. Because is it going to go higher than Microsoft, Apple, and Google, or maybe even combined, and Meta? It's going to come down again because everybody's.
I don't think it's going to go higher than that. It's already, it's actually gone down today.
Oh, there we
Like
go.
it went up to like almost $1,000 a share.
I've been telling my friend same things, like get out of it now. There's no point. It's reached so high, like isn't totally worth going up to a lot, but does it need to be bigger than Armaco, the oil supplier of the world, or I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, did they pull out? Have they pulled their share? Have they liquidated their shares?
I'll have to ask them again. I don't know, but
Because I don't know why I know more people who are proud of holding on to their terrible investments than they are at liquidating at the right time. Especially crypto people. Oh my god! I was like, for some reason, it's better to hold in all cases.
It's a cult, and because of it's a cult, it's actually working well. If the longer they stay in, they know there are more people will be joining. The more culty they are about it, the more people come in over time, and it pushes the whole price up. So it ends up like
earn
being
like hundreds of
self-fulfilling.
thousands of dollars overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
And then pay your house off immediately. Now you basically don't have to work that hard for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't get it. I know that everybody's waiting for BTC to go past $64,000 or something like that, and then once it does, they have it in their mind for the last 2 years that it's going to reach 1 million because it passed the 64,000. It's like I don't see how they're connected.
Oh no, yeah, this is the whole crypto, bro, where they just go first you're on 1,000, then you're on 2,000, and then you're on 4,000. It's just like, bro, you've just doubled the number. It's like you haven't told me anything.
There's certain.
Have you heard of do you know the Bitcoin halving is coming next month?
Is that what it is? Is it?
So, you know what the halving is?
I think so. It's happened a few times.
Yeah, it's happened a few times, and every time it's happened, the value always goes up because it's basically like the interest rate going up in Bitcoin world, right?
Yeah.
You're making it harder to print more Bitcoin, essentially.
As I understand it, and I used to be like a crypto bro in the very early days when it was at $50, and everybody everywhere was telling me to stay away from it. It was a waste of energy and time, and I hate those people.
Oh, they were right at the time.
Yeah, they were right at the time. Yeah, I don't hate them either. But the whole idea of Bitcoin was that it was supposed to stop it being mined by 2040. Like you couldn't mine anymore because it would have all been mined out, and that's where the value would come from. And I remember people saying it'll reach a peak value of something like 8 billion or something like that at the time. Now it's well over 2 trillion, I think.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I actually think that the halving will actually affect Nvidia's share price. I don't know if that will actually happen, but because this is how it works, right? Back in the day, I think as soon as the halving happened, people stopped mining Bitcoin because the reward for mining Bitcoin was too small, because you get like how many Bitcoin per successful mine, right? Yeah. And then the power cost it takes to mine that Bitcoin was bigger than the amount of dollar value that Bitcoin was. But then, of course, in the last few years, Bitcoin soared in value so dramatically that basically it made sense to bring NVIDIA GPUs back into the equation because now the reward for mining Bitcoin is so much higher in terms of dollars, even though it's less in terms of Bitcoin. There was a period of time where I think the only way you could profitably mine Bitcoin, because it wasn't worth very much, was to use like ASICs.
Assets? Or what
ASIC, ASIC, Application Specific Integrated Circuit.
Okay, and okay. I
So
remember.
they basically make these special cards that only did
Oh
Bitcoin mining.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember back when it started off. You had Nvidia, which everybody really liked as a company, and they were working with very well with AMD at the time. And then you had like Radeon graphics cards, which were like the Intel bros, and if you were rich, you were getting this card rather than the Nvidia ones. But Nvidia started. This is like 2006, and it's before Bitcoin. And then Radeon started going down, and Nvidia was doing really well, and we were thinking, oh, maybe the Radeon company is going to ATI is going to disappear and never be in it anymore. And then suddenly Bitcoin comes on the scene, and there was a lot more cores on an ATI graphics card, and then it's like so Nvidia was for gamers, and Radeon was for Bitcoin miners.
Bitcoin miners.
Yeah. So I actually bought two separate cards, and I put them both into my PC.
Yeah.
And no, not the Radeon. One of them, the Nvidia card of mine actually went up in fire, or burst. Yeah, because it was so hot inside of it, and I had to my power supply was only 600 watts or 700 watts at the time, 650 actually, and it popped. So I was like, okay, I need to get a new machine.
Wait, so the whole thing burned down?
Well, I kept the graphics card and I gave it to my friend, and sold it to him for like next to nothing. And
right, so they're still working. I thought you said the machine burned down because it caught fire.
no, the graphics card blew, and the power supply blew, and all I had then. So I gave him the motherboard and the other graphics card, the Radeon one.
Yeah.
And the CPU was working, so that part of the machine was working for him. And then I bought myself an Alienware 13. So okay. I always wanted to have an Alienware machine. So that was my Christmas present to myself when I left my previous company. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, I should make a clip of this particular podcast with the whole Bitcoin halving. It's gonna get lots of clicks, I know it. So we're gonna keep talking about Bitcoin halving while we're still on it. Yeah. So I should double check this. I wonder if there's a math to find out whether this is true. Is that given the current value of Bitcoin, which is absolutely astronomical, whether it makes sense, whether NVIDIA, GPU cores are still efficient enough to be profitable mining Bitcoin today, even after the halving. I don't know if there's a way to find that out, but that will determine NVIDIA's share price.
Can you tell me whether or not the Grok cards would be any good for doing that?
I want to say no, because because I mean,
they're for AI rather than for
mining. It's not that the computations aren't similar, they're probably similar, but the problem is that the Grok cards are only designed to do one thing, and any slight deviation in the pipeline means that it can't be done. If you want to do Bitcoin mining, you could go back to ASICs. You could still use ASICs. It's just that I don't know for some reason I stopped hearing about those ASICs being popular.
I saw one that actually, I know what you're on about, but I didn't really dive into it too much because I'm not that interested. But I saw one of those there the other day and somebody just leaves it in a box, and it'll mine an entire coin or something by itself, and so that people sell the box as though it's the cost of actually one Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
So
because I think they actually sold them in a form that looked like any other graphics card, but it only did Bitcoin mining and nothing else. But I think the problem is that during 2021, people just wanted to get rich quick. They saw the value going up. They're like, well, how can we get rich quick now? And NVIDIA GPUs were just stocked on store shelves, so everyone just bought NVIDIA GPUs and just built a cluster of NVIDIA GPUs, and that's how this craze started. And unfortunately, people are kind of what is it? Hive? It's not hive mind. What do you call it when people follow the crowd?
Sheep.
Yeah. Well, anyways, people are sheeple, right? Especially in the finance world. So they see other people doing this, and they'll go do the same thing, even though there may actually be a more efficient way to mine Bitcoin.
Well, I find that quite interesting about people being that way, and they are and they aren't, depending. People are still rebellious, but I do agree in some ways. But again, I'll come back to our earlier part of the conversation where I saw that there was an article regarding people in or on LinkedIn being queried in Silicon Valley in the United States, and most people just using that have used AI have mostly just used Gemini and 3.5 of ChatGPT or GPT, and they haven't used any more than that. And that blew me away, because being so deep in it with AI ourselves, we're really at the forefront of the rest of.
I want to feel special.
Well, I'm not saying that we should be feeling special or anything like that. It's more about, like, as in, do they have a clue what, what we just did in the beginning here with the functions? Do they see how powerful that is? That I can just go,
Yeah.
hey, create a song that does this, create
Yeah.
a bunch of folders that does this. Like, that is just from an evenings of work and a little bit of the morning, and I can create something that would have taken somebody months to do a few years ago, and I didn't even really put much concentration into it. That's a massive difference.
There's a small annoyance behind adding tools and agency to Claude or ChatGPT, is that you quickly find that whatever you do, the work you do, you could spend weeks doing this, right, and get it like really awesome, and then suddenly the parent company then integrates this function directly into their system.
Oh yeah, we both felt this.
And then and I've done this so many times, it's not even funny. Like, I remember, and the audience doesn't know this, but Owen already knows this. AGPT, which is a voice assistant on your smartphone powered by ChatGPT, and it ended up just being about as good as Siri is, but it was a bit more sassy in its conversation because it was powered by a large language model, not Siri's like canned responses. And basically it required the concept of agentic AI, and at the time that didn't exist. Like, can you get ChatGPT to call functions, to actually execute things on your phone? And well, I then went out of my way to build a system where the ChatGPT would generate like structured JSON, so then that my interpreter could then interpret that thing, and then my phone would then like understand the action that was given to it and then execute those actions, and those actions could be like sending a text message or like updating a contact or something like that, right? Yeah. And then of course OpenAI releases function calling literally the month I released the app on the App Store.
Yeah. Do you remember last year all the rag companies, was it last year, earlier on, that were setting up for the first time, and they were like basically going out of business just as fast as they were being set up, because
I actually really hate this, because you have all these smart people who like can see the writing on the wall and say, let's do this, let's build this, but they're like, oh, hang on a second, I could be wasting all my time here, and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
and then when they do
you can see where this is going.
They are wasting their
time. Now suddenly there's only one company doing all the work, because nobody wants to be that guy who has its startup ruined by OpenAI or Anthropic releasing the function that they were doing.
Yeah. I wouldn't know how to create a business that's safe in this world right now, because all these other companies could just devote some GPU time into creating the same thing that you've created, and then have roughly the similar result, and just call it their own product. And if they have a bigger ground in the first place, then people may never go to. So that's why I'm so happy about Claude, Anthropic's Claude Opus coming out. Is I don't want to just see it with OpenAI, and I'm also super excited about Mistral kicking ass.
Mistral's not as censored as some of the other models too.
Oh no, it's nice. It's a good French model, but what bothered me is that they've teamed up with Microsoft to run on their systems as well, and I was like, that ruined it. Now I'm looking for another company that doesn't run on Microsoft that I could respect.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Not that I have a problem with Microsoft.
Microsoft promises not to change the underlying nature of the model. Like, they're not going to suddenly make it all woke and PC, right? It's still keeping its original behaviors.
Yeah, it's just that it's always in the United States. I would like to. I want to see some AIs from each different country, and I saw India is now buying 10,000 GPUs just for their development sector, so that people can rent time on their servers, kind of like the way Hugging Face is done or something like that. Europe is going to be investing as well in their own
Mm.
infrastructure for AI.
Mm.
And Sam Altman of Openai even suggests this. Like, as much as I want to give Openai crap sometimes, I do agree with their mentality on a lot of the things that they're talking about, and I really haven't got much against them. I just don't like that they were up until this week the only players in the room that were worth anything talking about. I do find that Mistral is fantastic though. It really
Do you think like who do you think in OpenAI is really like do you think the OpenAI core executive team, do you reckon they're like really strict on keeping everything locked down and proprietary? Or do you think they're actually people who are interested in making this awesome research and making it available and usable for most people?
they don't want they want to make they said it in their own email that they want to make the result of their awesome research available to everybody. They don't want to give their research away to everybody. The idea being that any bad actor out there could get it. So they're effectively going to be joining the US military and making it national secrets.
So they actually want to keep it locked down and proprietary.
They kind of have to.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that people are might be not getting in this. Like I think in the U.S. Military you have like 5 different branches, like Space Force, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Army. They're going to have an AI version in the next 10 years because you're going to have to. We're going to have like a global AI keeping an eye on the other AIs, and it's going to have to be super, super powerful. Because what else are you going to do to stop this kind of thing? I've heard somebody before say that from an AI's perspective, humans are like trees. We move extremely, extremely slowly to them. Within an instant, they could be thinking, it was like 100 years or 400 years, GPT 3.5 was trained, in GPU time. It did that in 3 months. It was literally 300 years of information for us, so things have only gotten faster and faster for these models, whereas we're still the same speed. We're going to need a guidance mechanism for this tool, and it might be just keep an eye on the rest of the tools, and each country is going to want to have their own guidance mechanism or teaming up with their next door neighbor superpower that's running it.
Yeah, but so this is the thing. Like China, in theory, they are in the most prime position to build a super AI. They've got one state actor that basically has the largest surveillance network in the world. They've got so much data, categorized and organized, prime for training AI, and yet they've absolutely squandered that because they don't really have the Chinese system doesn't really encourage researchers to spend all their life researching this stuff. If you've read all these AI papers, haven't you noticed that a lot of the top authors are actually from Chinese researchers?
Yeah.
The Chinese people move to the US and bam, they become like instant success for AI researchers. But in China, they don't really have as good things.
Yeah.
And there's 2 things that's the problem, right? One of them is the systematic research institution system, right? There's no incentive to spend your life's work researching AI. And second, is sanctions. It's smuggling NVIDIA GPUs into China right now is very, very lucrative business. But that means China, just like the average Chinese citizen, doesn't have access to these clusters of GPU power that the average person in, say, US does.
As
and
a
that holds them
PR,
back.
as a PR thing though, the Chinese production of AI models that they've made open source has been quite good. They've done more than I think Europe in general has done, and other than the United States, I think they've been dumping products out in the market like fairly often. Alibaba has produced stuff, Tencent has produced stuff. I don't know if they're the same company, but there's been a lot of actual cool stuff coming out of China. I think they're being hindered, of course, by the American system, where they don't want them to have it, and I think rightly so. Like, as in, I wouldn't want anybody else to have it. If Europe was buying too many cards and I was in the United States, I'd try to stop them doing it too, because this is such a powerful tool that's coming out that you have to try and be number one. I wouldn't stop any country trying to stop the other countries from getting it. or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like China. I think this is what China's invested billions and billions of dollars trying to make their own chips, and unfortunately, they just can't get it to a level that's competitive.
Yeah, yeah, not yet.
Um, yeah, and I and given the way things are currently, it's just easier for them to just let TSMC do it.
Yeah,
Um, but I can see sanctions becoming more of a thing, right? And then they'll have no choice but to make a better chip building facility.
yeah, but that's I think that's just currently the way things are going. Depending on how the technology, like quantum technology, works out, how their light wave technology works out for the same kind of like devices that you want to produce. Who knows what the next 5 years are going to be? Maybe the next greatest technology is actually going to come out of China for when it comes to actually making these AI chips. Maybe they'll find another way to copy it. Maybe they'll make their own version. I don't think any country owns the future by default.
Yeah,
Like I'm looking
yeah,
forward to seeing what comes out of
and
India.
I sure hope not. Like, I don't want to see one country with a super powerful AI, and then now all the other countries are now, basically under its wrath.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need it's like the nuclear bomb moment, right?
yeah.
As soon as one new country makes a nuclear bomb, you need another country makes a nuclear bomb, and now they're both too afraid to use it.
It's mad. Mutually assured destruction.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's. I don't know how AI could ensure destruction. I don't really see how that equates, but I can
Yeah.
imagine that owning super powerful AI is essentially the same thing.
I 100% agree, and I think that's a necessity, and that's the kind of thing I want to see happening everywhere. And at the same time, I think it is kind of inevitable, but there will be AI fighting wars for us in the future. It's already started happening. Look at the
I mean,
Ukraine.
what? I mean, let's. What kind of warfare do you think AI will dish out on each other?
Dish out on each other. Depends on the field of battle. If it's in space, which is possibly where the next resources are going to be coming from over the next 200 years, then quite literally could be just shooting pellets at each other. If it's on the actual Earth in the next 10 to 20 years, it'll be cyber warfare and manipulation. Imagine having every male or female in the United States being called by their um, hot crush or something like that, their voice or on their phones, and
Yeah,
or their mother or their father's calling them and ask them, hey, what's your credit card number for this, or your password to get onto this computer. Information
yeah.
stealing is going to be shooting through the roof. All you have
Yeah.
to do is have enough
But
robots.
AI themselves are doing that, not
Yeah,
humans
yeah,
commanding them to do it.
yeah, but this is AI. Then how do you try and stop something like that? You're going to need to
Yeah,
have an artificial intelligence to figure out
yeah,
before you, the human, pick up the phone to answer that.
yeah,
Hey, this is an AI talking to you right now and
yeah.
warning you, and they will
So
then they'll be
basically, it's like mass scale information warfare, but
at first.
it's so like the scale of the information warfare is so big it leaks out into the real world. That's how
And
I'm
so
imagining
and
it,
so
right?
sophisticated, like
Yeah,
as in imagine if you just found out now you're actually been talking to an AI, for the
yeah,
last hour or so. That's the kind of world we're going to be moving into,
yeah.
where you just didn't
It's
know.
funny because I remember I wanted to do that. I wanted to troll my coworkers, and I
I'm
don't know
planning
if
on
there's
doing that still.
I just don't know if there's a tool that right now that allows you to do that. But
Well, there was
um,
somebody last year that was working on it, and I've been trying to get around to going back to making it, but I was
are
watching.
you sure that are you sure it was real? Like,
I
was it
don't
Athene
know.
Live or something like that?
Yeah, was that fake? Because it seemed
I
fucking
I
real.
think it's well, it depends. Like he presented it as a live stream, and that sort of added to the authenticity. But
Yeah,
something tells me he pre-baked in a lot of the like he definitely used like it was a combination. I'm pretty sure it was a combination of a deep fake with a voice clone, and it
yeah,
wasn't. But none of those are real-time technologies.
yeah, yeah. I know. And he had George Carlin, Asmongold on there.
Yeah,
He had Amaranth, but it seemed pretty damn good. And he was working with a whole team of people apparently. I have done some searches line, and I'm going to do another one after this to see if it actually was real, because I'm really interested in doing that.
And the fact that he claimed that it has agency and it started like blocking people in the chat, like it's funny because it's believable because this tech existed a few months, like the idea of agentic AI becoming, with function calling and everything, existed a few months after that video was released.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
believable that he has it. It's just I still think that a channel that's oriented towards entertainment, I just don't think they have cutting edge tech that somehow OpenAI hasn't released to the public.
I know. I don't know myself, but it was still. So I'm inclined now more to go 51%. It was lies, and
Right.
I'm still 49%. Like, as in he did it. Either way, super entertaining for me. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
there's already known cases of people being scam called. There was actually a high profile case of a business being scammed because they happened to make a video call to a guy at work, he thought his boss was calling him,
Yeah.
and he had access to a certain amount of company funds under his with his position, and they voice cloned his boss, and his boss told him to transfer how much money to this account, and he did it.
Oh.
But this was voice only, so voice cloning is real time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think you can literally have a immediate a face clone that's real time.
Well, I think the solution to some of this is the eye scanning technology, or it's believed to be the solution to it. That Sam Altman wanted to focus on setting up his currency about, where that he'll give you money if he can scan your eye. So if your
Wasn't
voice
he just trying to steal people's eyeballs for money?
Yeah. But if your voice can be cloned easily, and your face overall can be cloned, your eye is like your fingerprint, and then if you have a combination of your fingerprint and your eye, then at least that's extra secure.
Yeah.
For the meantime.
But that means you got to have iris scanners built into most devices.
Yeah, well, I can see Apple doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that if AI is as sophisticated as you say, they'll attack it. They'll basically attack it. They'll intercept the wire that goes between, the sensor and the rest of the computer.
We're just looking at like online versions of AI, but imagine AI machines the size of flies or insects moving around and just being powerful little transmitters for another AI. The broad scale of what's about to happen in the next 20 years is just...
Insect bodies are actually a far superior form of agency for an AI than a humanoid body.
Yeah, and scarier and cooler to fight in a war, but
no, scary because you literally won't even see them coming.
Yeah, we'd lose big time. But still fun if you ever got to shoot them like Starship Troopers style. Anyway, man, I have to leave it at that. My jaw is beginning to swell up again.
Okay. I hope there's enough material in this.
There's a lot of material in this. I think
and we didn't really get around to talking about the Openai lawsuit.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's much to talk about it so much in there, because of the fact that it may not be going ahead.
Yeah. But last time I read, it just wasn't really that interesting.
No, it wasn't. OpenAI just turned around and said, "Hey, he's lying, and we're really sad that he's saying these things, but he's just trying to get OpenAI to own it for himself, and so that he can put it into his Teslas." And that's it. We did talk about it, but that's basically all OpenAI said it was about. And he agreed.
But here's an interesting thing, because they're technically a non-profit.
They were.
So it's funny, is because they have a non-profit company that owns a cap profit company, but the cap is so high that it's technically a for-profit company. But
they're for-profit until they get AGI. And then they have to go back to being a non-profit afterwards, as I understand it. The AGI is the agreement that they made with Microsoft. So that's what I was saying earlier about it being a rescue. Elon Musk, if he can get them to admit that they have AGI, then OpenAI no longer has a contract with OpenAI. OpenAI then receives all of the money that it was supposed to get from Microsoft, and then they can go their separate ways.
But who backs Claude? I think Google's one of Claude's
I
biggest
think
backers.
it's AWS as well.
Amazon and Google.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not entirely sure.
Because I think Amazon is being quiet on the AI front as it stands.
Yeah, and same
And
with
I reckon
Apple.
that's the right decision.
I would stay out of it based on looking what Google
You
has
want to
done to
create a
themselves.
new brand to do AI.
Yeah, yeah. I think or invest in all the brands that are doing it that are not you.
Yeah.
For example, the Or1 Rabbit, the phone
Yeah.
that's coming out
Yeah.
during Easter, which is going to start taking off very soon. That one, Amazon, Jeff Bezos has invested a lot of money in as well. I feel as though that the program that we started off this episode with actually is a very similar product to theirs. I know theirs is all broken up into different LLMs doing things, but if I can get this program to write its own functions and then carry out new tasks, then basically it does much of what is capable to be done on the Rabbit phone.
So you're saying that Rabbit company has something that's as sophisticated as Claude Opus?
They say they do. They say they do. Yeah.
Right.
But they're doing it with miniature LLMs all on the phone.
Right.
So I'm skeptical.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, interestingly enough, I know we didn't get time to do this in the stream today, but you know that test with the engineering drawing that I did on my first video for AI, where I gave it like a diagram and asked it like what the correct hook and bolt is? Claude got the correct answer immediately.
Really?
I didn't have to say, "Are you sure?" after it got the answer wrong first time. It just got it.
Wow.
And that was Sonnet. That wasn't Opus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll probably release a standalone video on that subject. Actually, I think that might actually be a very, very popular video.
Yeah. Well, I might just start off with that as a snippet for this video, and then like the way the last one I put in, you had said something about like it's like an electron gun to your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My head is killing me now.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well.
I'll talk to you
man.
tomorrow. Thanks for the stream. Hopefully this is all good. And I think that I was having a lot of freezing there as well, man. So.
Yeah. I think you should just send me. I probably won't upload this whole stream as is.
No,
I'll probably just make clips of this, and then I'll probably take some of the stuff from your recording because it's going to be blotchy on my one.
Yeah, I think vice versa. I'll be doing the same thing.